So it is where you stand.
No, I mean I don't want to make that kind of money.
Well, it
I'd be
seems to
too
me like
rich.
it kind of is what you want. You
No,
know?
I'd be Phantom Menace if I believed all that stuff.
Oh, okay. So you're a fan of Menace. I didn't realize you
No,
were a fan of Menace.
I don't believe in the. Are we live?
Yes.
I don't believe in the ideology of 1940s Germany, so I can't be. I can't be Phantom Menace, unfortunately.
Ooh, wow.
That's gonna get.
Shots fired there. Oh, dang. So that was an interesting conversation that just went way far into a different direction. So hey guys, good to see everybody. Michael and James here as usual on Tuesday nights, and we got a little bit to talk about, and then we'll probably open it up and see what you guys want to talk about. So first and foremost, the usual stuff. So we had What If and Lower Deck. So What If was basically Doctor Strange. What if he broke his heart instead of his hands, basically? So, which ended up causing the total destruction of the entire universe. Very dark episode. And I think that in some ways, kind of a darker version of what we're going to get with the Spider-Man movie this fall. What did you think of it? I liked it. I know that my friend Deej thought it was a little too dark, but I thought it was good because I think it shows you how solid the Marvel universe actually is, because this is where it could have gone had things just gone a little bit south.
Well, I don't know. I mean, again, I thought that it went against like your whole Marvel is always happy or is able to, is one of the things that isn't going dark like everything else. So I was surprised actually to hear that you liked it. Like what's going on, people. I thought it was all right. It was a little bit too dark, and it's interesting because there's been 3 dark ones, I think, and then one like neutral or positive one so far.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of an interesting way.
And I'll tell you, because I know I'm more of the comic book nerd than you. And What If was always, because, like with DC Comics, Batman was always the odd man out, right? So Batman was the dark comic book, right? Where most DC comic books are truth, justice, and the American way, and Batman is like, I'll rip your heart out, So with Marvel, What If was the dark comic. But the difference between What If and the rest of the world is that What If was always exploring what if things went the wrong way. And it was always kind of showing you this is why things are good.
Right. Well, I mean, the Captain Carter ended in a positive or neutral way.
But What If was kind of, you never, and that was the fun thing about it, you never knew. Sometimes the universe ended up better, but a lot of the times the universe ended up completely falling apart. So when you got the and sometimes it was just silly, like the Black Panther one, where all of a sudden Thanos is joking around in bars saying, no, really, come on, we could wipe out half a life. And obviously that one is kind of played for laughs. And
that one ended negatively too.
Right,
probably.
That one kind of ended with, well, the world's probably going to end up dead.
Right.
And so, but I think that I think What If is one that I always give a mulligan to because it is always peering into alternate realities. And so, but I enjoy it, but I usually because I like the fact that if it, and Arabic, thank you so much, shows a buck into the chat just because I do appreciate it, man. What If is always about just trying to explore where reality could have gone. Not necessarily, but it's not trying to say, "Ooh, wouldn't it be better if things were dark?"
I liked that the Watcher got involved. I think that was really interesting. And he got pissed off too. He involved. He got pretty pissed off.
The Watcher rarely gets involved, but sometimes, in this case, the Watcher was watching reality come crumbling down. So
I I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just going to say.
No, yeah, but sometimes he'll say something like, because he knows it's not going to make any difference at that point because that universe is ending.
Well, yeah, and I had to do a rewatch, but he actually was talking to the other watchers, it appears like he was debating if he was going to try to help him or reach out to him. And at least I think he was. All of his eyes were glowing, and it looked like he was talking to somebody.
I think I didn't get that. I think he was just talking to you, the audience.
Well, his eyes were glowing, though. It looked like he was talking to. Well, he didn't look like he was breaking the fourth wall. Because yeah, I had to watch it a second time too. But what happens is he's actually talking. He pauses like he's listening to somebody, and then he continues on. He's like, he says he's going down the wrong path, but I'm not sure, or we don't want to risk the other universes. And then there's a pause, like he's listening to something, and then he says, well, we don't want to, I don't think he'd listen to me anyway.
You know, that may be, I'd have to go, let me go back. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch that now.
Yeah.
With thinking of it that way. You might be right.
Yeah, I mean, because I only caught it on the second one, because at first I thought maybe it was the dude who introduced him, who was like, hello, Armani, or whatever, Sorcerer Armani. But no, it was actually the Watcher. And again, it looks like, and that I think that adds a dynamic to it, especially if I'm pretty sure I'm right, especially if I'm right, where he wants to intervene, but after talking, he knows it's going to be useless. And the fact that him intervening could impact the other universes kind of shows why he doesn't get involved.
Right, because that would just impact more universes and cause a larger scope of destruction.
Right. Yeah, he says other universes could be impacted.
Because actually, that would answer. Because like my question at the end, when he says, you know that if I intervene, it would just cause more destruction, and I was like, well, the entire universe is gone. What more destruction could possibly happen? But then, well, there are other universes,
right?
But
and that maybe that's why that was there, because he talks about that. He says, I don't want to get other ones involved. I mean, he even says, more than anything, it only causes more destruction.
Right.
But I think it's... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that's an interesting way to look at it.
Well, and I think it's crazy because, again, it shows how powerful... Like, he probably does have the ability to undo what Strange did, but can't. And that would have to be... That's probably why he's angry, too. That'd be the most frustrating... To be able to undo all of that destruction and pain... But you can't, because it could end up worse. That would have to be one of the most frustrating things. He even throws it in his face, like you did, Christine. I mean, straight up, just brutal.
And so that was the what if. I do hope they pull a absolutely insane what if by the end of the season, like they did in the comics, where they just go completely like, what if Wolverine had fleas and stuff like that. I doubt they will, but I think it would be fun.
Zombies next.
Is Zombies the next one? Is that what,
Zombies?
Okay, I know that they dropped a teaser, but I didn't watch it yet.
And the what they're thinking happens, or what the rumors are, is that I forget what it is, but during one of the movies, I think it's the movies, they had a vial. It was a base that all the Avengers were attacking, and they had a vial, and they think the vial just gets broken, and that's how they all turn into zombies.
Okay. And hey, Kronos, how you doing? He says hi to you too, by the way. All right, so then we had Lower Decks with the Mugatu Reserve.
Yeah. There were some really good parts and some not so good parts.
Yeah, I would agree.
I like how they ended it. That was pretty cool.
By having the nerds solve the problem instead of Mariner.
Well, and then using diplomacy to do it.
I like that. I think that... so what I really liked about it, I did like that Boimler and Rutherford ended up solving the problem using nerd skills instead of having Mariner punch her way through the problem.
Right.
I do like the continuing to mix up who's partnering up with who. I think that's a good thing that they're doing this season, to not have it just fall into the same partner pairing with everything. I'm the bartender. I really like this bartender character they introduced, and I'm thinking he's like the anti-Guinan, because Guinan is like this wise sage on the Enterprise D that gives out great wise information, as opposed to this guy is just the ultimate rumor mill. And so I love the fact that he's just the dead opposite of Guinan. So I thought that was all really good stuff. I think that Tindy, once again, is just kind of there. I think that they're Mariner, it feels like they're just trying to figure out what to do with her because they've kind of made her a little too awesome. And honestly, the Mugatu sex scene was completely gratuitous. I mean, the two Mugatu having sex on the log, I didn't have a problem with, but the third one sitting down and stroking his horn, I thought that was over the top.
It's not a Christian mating, is what you're trying to say.
No, it's not. It has nothing to do with being Christian. It has to do with I think it crossed the line. For an animated series like that, I thought that was a bit much.
I think any sex scene is too much, in my opinion. I was just giving you. By the way, Hiroshi Loves You says, thesis, the quality of a Star Trek show is inversely proportional to the amount of karate fights, gun shootouts, and action chases. I don't know that I agree with that, but I think that generally Trek is probably more cerebral than that. I would agree with that, but I don't think...
Here's the thing, like Lower Decks, when it's at its best, is when it's poking fun at tropes in Trek, right? So, for example, Guinan giving out wise advice, make fun of it by putting a bartender that spreads rumors, right?
Right.
And so poking fun at actual Trek tropes, that works. But graphic sex has never been really a major part of Trek.
They don't do sex right.
They've really never done sex well, but when sex is a part of a story in Trek, it's generally not graphic. I mean, like never in the history of Trek, like while Kirk has sex with a few ladies, never has there been a scene where Spock is in the corner jerking off. That kind of a thing is just not something that I
mean, that's one way to change, I guess, if they wanted to do a reboot.
That would be a very different kind of Trek, I guess.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Captain. It's been 7 years. Do you mind? It's like.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I just think that anytime they've really worked with that, there's very few relationships I think work with Trek. I don't think that's its mainstay, and so that's why it doesn't really do all that well with it, it was, I don't know. It was, I just thought it was unnecessary.
Right.
I'm not even sure why they would even add it there. I mean, for jokes and stuff, but I don't know. It honestly just seemed low tier.
It really did. It was like, I mean, like I said, with the two having sex on the log and having the log shake around, that was funny. The third one, I was like, okay, really? Okay, what? And then they show it, and I was like, oh, right, okay, whatever. And
I mean, it was. I mean, I'll say there was. I get a chuckle. It's like they're tired. They're all sleeping or they're tired. Even the one that watched. I don't know why that was funny, but that was for a second. I did chuckle at that, but. Because it made no sense. He wasn't anyway.
Yeah, why was he sleeping with him?
Yeah, what was he tired for?
Alex, thank you for supporting the channel. And DS9's Fascinations was the worst attempt to do sex. I'm trying to remember which episode was that. Do you remember that one by name?
DS9 Fascination? No, I don't.
He who controls the spice controls the
universe. Oh, that was the one with
DS9 Fascination, the worst attempt to do sex.
Visits the station to attend the Gratitude Festival, resulting in an outbreak of passion throughout the station as people admit their secret feelings. That has to be a season 1. No, it's a season 3. Oh, wow. That one seems... I'll agree. It seems pretty poorly done.
I don't remember that.
I don't think most people do. You got Bashir and Kira kissing. I vaguely remember this one.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember that one. I'm drawing a blank.
It has memorable quotes like, Odo, don't worry, I'm here to help you. Odo responds, what kind of help do you mean? Loxana tells her, oh, well, a sympathetic ear, a shoulder to cry on, a lap to melt in. Just, I mean, you got.
Well, when it has Luxwana Troy, it's going to be great quality television. And D Space Nine handled sex so poorly across the board. I mean, like, man, every time when Worf and Dax got together and they had all the running gags of how many bones they'd break and stuff like, I was like, come on. If the sex between them was that rough, Dax should have ended up dead.
Well, apparently that's how they get down, though. That's how Klingons get down.
Yeah, whatever. That to me, that was stupid. Because if they were really, what does Worf literally just punch her in the face while they're doing it? That doesn't make sense.
I guess I don't know. I assume that's what they said the Klingon culture is. I haven't really thought about it. It happened to Quark too when he was with that Klingon woman.
I know. But
yeah, they even had a joke where you had both Quark and Quark in one biobed and apparently Worf in the other. At that point,
I don't remember.
Apparently, Jadzia had one.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And Bashir was like, he was with Quark and they were talking, they made a sex joke or whatever. He's like, I don't want to think about that. And then he turns to Worf. He's like, oh, I don't want to think about that either. So apparently Keiko and Ezri should have hooked up, according to some in my chat. That's interesting.
But, I wish that it's funny because for something that Star Trek has struggled with over the years, honestly, they just don't handle adult content very adult.
I agree.
Which is too bad. So I guess in that sense, Lower Decks is right in line with the rest of Trek. They just don't know how to deal with adult content.
Well, it's always been a Trek show. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's only fitting that they stay consistent. TNG showed rough violence when Klingons initiated mating rituals. Okay.
Well, TNG, yeah, I mean, I remember that like Worf wanted to beat the crap out of that Klingon chick that Q made for him. And like, I thought that was stupid. Yeah, but I think the idea of the mating ritual literally being like punch the chick out is like, okay, that's stupid. I don't know. I just, for whatever reason, that part of Klingon culture, I just soon skip.
Right. Well, again, it's just about sex, so it's just,
right. Yeah, no thank you. I'm not interested. Let's move on. Speaking of moving on, so Matrix dropped a teaser to the teaser.
A teaser? Yeah. I wasn't impressed with that, to be quite honest. I don't... looks like it's a reboot, which is what they need to do anyway, because they ended it definitively, I think.
Well, but it's got Keanu and what's her name that played Trinity.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Has she played anything but Trinity?
Well, she was also in the Netflix shows, the Marvel shows.
Okay.
And Wesley, thank you so much. Throws $2 in, and he wants lore to make YouTube go.
Yep. You haven't gotten that fixed yet, have you?
Not yet. So here I'll tell you. Make
He who controls the spice controls the universe.
Make yours.
Number 15, make YouTube go.
There you go. So you've got the full screen now. So there, now you can do it for him.
My shirt's bugging me. Make YouTube go.
Yes. Well, no, you got to go. I am Lore.
I ain't getting the money. You can pay me and I'll do it. How much you pay? You $2? I'll take $1 for it. I am Lore. I make YouTube go.
Well, that's the best I can get for $1. That's $1's worth of super chat.
I would agree. That's what that is. She played a lawyer in Daredevil. Jessica Jones. Luke Cage. I didn't know she was in Jessica Jones.
She was Jessica Jones's boss.
Oh, she was. I remember that now.
Yeah.
That's right, the lesbian. Yeah, I remember that now. So yeah. But yeah, it wasn't anything really all that interesting, I didn't think. The more interesting thing was the possible leak of the Starfleet ship.
Yes, let me...
Which is just a remake.
See if... and bring that up.
Yeah, this has gotten... So I haven't seen anything about this except for... with Trek Yards, and so that's actually their thumbnail that they put up. Apparently, it was on a Twitter page somewhere. I wasn't able to find it, but yeah. So they're apparently bringing that ship back, which looks like it's just going to be. It looks fine, but it looks like they're just going to make.
It looks like
a Constellation.
Yeah, it looks like a modernized Constellation class.
Yeah, a Discovery version Constellation is what I think it looks like.
Yeah. Kronos wants to know if I stabbed myself today. No, I stab myself currently on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
That doesn't seem healthy.
Yeah, well, by stab myself, I mean inject myself with Copaxone. Copaxone. You can have it yourself for only $6,000 a month. Copaxone.
I mean, basically, it's free when you look at it like that.
Yeah.
Looks like one of those Star Trek Discovery ships. This ship is based on. It might be. It
kind of looks like it'd be on Star Trek Online.
It's Discoveryified. It'll be Discoveryified for sure. But the ship originally was a TNG, maybe original series, but TNG for sure. And it was, as you said, the Constellation class. It was the first ship Picard was ever in command of.
Right.
And so. Yeah, I don't. Was that in original series? I feel like it was.
No, it was original. It was based on the Constellation class, was based on the TMP era designs, but it first appeared in the Next Generation.
Okay, I feel like I thought that you saw it in like the original series. Like
no, its first appearance was in the Next Generation, but the design was based on the motion picture designs.
So it was meant to be from that era, I guess. And completely breaks what Gene wanted.
Yeah, because it's a 4 nacelle ship, which went against the original rules of starship design and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. That'll be interesting. I don't know what they're going to do with it unless it just shows up. I mean, if they have the capacity to create new ships, why the hell didn't they do that?
Right.
Before.
And knowing the way they do the things on these shows, they may just try to say that's the Stargazer.
Yeah, I can see that too. Which is fine if that's what they want to do, but
yeah. I mean, they could just try to say, yeah, that's the Stargazer in retcon time.
Wasn't it destroyed though, or put in a mothball? Yeah, it was destroyed in the Next Generation.
But remember, we got Q, we got time travel, we got
So they might bring it back like that. It was a kit bash of some AMD models. Was it a kit bash? I could see it being a kit.
Yeah, the original, yes.
Yeah, they did that a lot back then.
Yeah. I think that that ship will be full of Mugatus with with horns all over the place and Borg queens apparently.
Docking horns.
Docking horns, yes, and Borg queens.
Yeah, you had a real issue with the new queen, or at least them bringing back the queen, right?
Here's the problem I have with the new queen. No, first of all, let me see if I can find her real quick.
Screen cap. See what he's been looking up.
Oh, whatever. So this is the new Borg Queen chick. And looking at the actress, and by the way, interestingly enough, I don't know if you know this, but her very first acting role was on Star Trek Enterprise. If you look at her IMDb page, so I think that's kind of cool. And so would joke that her last acting role will be, of course, Star Trek Picard. But she looks enough like the Borg Queen, if you look at her there, that there's a passing resemblance. So
I don't think there has to be, though.
No, but assuming she's because she's playing the same character, if they're trying to suggest that the Borg Queen, this is in fact the same creature,
Well, see, so did they say they're playing the exact same? So here's the thing: like in Voyager, we had two different Borg queens.
No, there's only one Borg queen, just two different actors.
Well, here's my thing though. I wonder if they don't have multiple Borg queens. It would almost work for the Borg,
Right, but
depending on what the collective needs.
The problem is that 7 of 9 had direct interactions with both actresses who played the Borg Queen, and never did they make any kind of reference that she was talking to a different person.
Right. But I mean, if she would recognize the Borg Queen, and so I wouldn't. I don't think that's a huge deal for her because she would just see him as the same. I really don't. I think they'd be wise to take that theory, though. I think they'd be wise to say there's just different models of Queen, and just even if it was never the original intent, just retcon it. That way you can always just trade up queens if you ever need them.
Well, I think that, first of all, I think that she's meant to just be the same Borg Queen. I think the idea, because remember, like they establish in First Contact, and granted, I think that we both agree that First Contact, when they bring in the Borg Queen, that I think we both agree it was a mistake to bring in the Borg Queen. So I'm not defending the existence of the Borg Queen. I'm just acknowledging the existence of the Borg Queen. So, I'm not saying, hey, what a great idea the Borg Queen is. I'm just trying to work with what they show us. But in First Contact, when they bring in the Borg Queen, Picard mentions that he saw the same Borg Queen on the cube that was destroyed in Best of Both Worlds. And she acknowledges that it was in fact her.
Yeah, but so here's my thing. Again, I'm not really I'm not going to argue this to the nines or anything like that. But the only thing I'd say to that is that if I was writing it, or if I think they were smart, the time we see that actress, generally it's when the Borg are in a fight, or they're going to do combat, or they're going to do the other actress generally was more when it was ominous, or when they were just messing with them. So you could argue that she's like a war queen or something like that. I
get it. But I'm just saying that what we see on screen doesn't support that.
Right. Well, I don't know that it doesn't support that, but I understand. It's probably not what they were going for. I really think they could just retcon. They need to retcon the hell out of it. They should have said that the Borg Queen was just killed. A lot of people will sit there and say, "Ooh, Fire's playing some Fallout 4. Look at that. Go, pup." They could... I don't know where I was going. So with the Borg Queen, a lot of people are getting upset about it, but for me, it's just, the Borg Queen for me was a bad idea concept. So I don't think they're going to ruin something that was already a bad idea. I don't think you can ruin a bad idea. It's just always bad.
You can make a bad idea into a better idea.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to do that either. But you know what I'm saying. I
agree. I don't think they're going to make her better, but I do. I agree that they can't ruin it because it's already a disaster.
Yeah. So when people get upset about that, I'm just like, it was a bad idea to begin with. So it's not going to. No matter what, they could have the Borg Queen like riding a clone Hugh into the first scene that we see her, and it doesn't. She was always bad, so that's just par for the course for me.
Oh, while drinking the goo out of Icheb's eye.
Yeah, riding him like a stallion.
Yes.
So, it's just whatever. I don't even see. I guess it'll be interesting to see what they do with the Borg, since apparently that's going to be a huge part now.
But you see, this is why I have a problem. Is that all right? So in Picard season 1, they spent the first, how many episodes were in season 1?
8 or 10? I can tell you in a second.
I'm trying to remember. Was it 10? Was it?
I'm going to say 8, but I know that's wrong. 10. Yep,
10. Okay. So they spent like the first 9 episodes building up like there was going to be this huge, cool battle involving the Borg at the end of it. And then twice they nerf the Borg, right? And so we get nothing, right?
Right.
So Picard season 1 ends up just being the most gigantic Star Trek cock tease in the history of Star Trek, and an entire season of you're gonna get a big old battle. Oh yeah, here it comes. Oh yeah, yeah, you're ready. Yeah, and blue balls. That was like the entire season, and so now with season 2, oh guys, we got a new Borg queen. We got a new Borg queen. We got Q. We got Q. Oh, it's going down now. I'm like, no. It's going to end up. Q is going to show up for like 8 seconds in the first episode. And so, oh, hey, Picard, you look old. Hey, I'll see you in a minute. And then he'll show up in like 8 seconds in the last episode. And say, oh, yeah, sorry, I said I'd be back in a minute. I was getting a sandwich. You want something? No? Okay, see ya. Like, that'll literally be his entire part.
I could see it.
And the Borg Queen is like Picard's gonna say, hey, did you see this chick? And just show him a picture of the Borg Queen.
Right. Please explain why the Borg Queen was a bad idea. I'd love to hear both of you guys from the opinion. It just fundamentally changes the Borg. Hey, it's all right to that. Don't ban Michael Jackson. It fundamentally
ban Michael Jackson?
Do not ban Michael Jackson, is what I said. It fundamentally changes the Borg. And it was a requirement by executives, not by writers. So you don't need a central command module. You don't need a central figure for the Borg. That's never what they've been. They've always been a collective. And I think they're more menacing and scarier as a collective. They also turned her into a villain of the week in Voyager, which was just unfortunate.
Well, and Alex put in a super chat, said Voyager overdid the Borg. Don't care what you do with them. And Voyager, they turned the Borg into a joke because you had one little starship that defeated the Borg over and over and over in Voyager. But here's the problem with the Borg Queen in a nutshell. Is
Voyager overdid Z Borg, don't see what you do with them.
Introduced in Q Who, one of the few and extremely rare times that Counselor Troy did something well. She perfectly summed up how scary the Borg were by talking about the fact that they almost cannot make a mistake because you're dealing with the collective consciousness of the entirety of the collective, which means that you're not just dealing with a leader who can make a mistake. You're dealing with all of them. Not only that, but you're dealing with when the ship does things, it literally just thinks itself to do things. So you don't have to worry about like someone giving orders to someone to do something, which by the way, later on in Voyager, you actually do see Borg drones leaving their workstations and hitting buttons to do things on Borg ships. But in the original concept, no, the Borg would all just be sitting in their alcoves and the ship would just do whatever it wants to do. And so the ship would react almost instantaneously, and the intellect of the Borg was instantaneous. If you were lucky enough to get assimilated, your brain simply became one small piece in this collective consciousness, which means you were completely and utterly aware of all of this, but your intellect was so tiny in comparison with this gigantic intellect that you were a willing participant in this giant collective consciousness, and there was nothing you could do about it.
Yeah.
Now,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Now, compare that to you introduce the Queen, now the Borg are just zombies. That's all they are. They're just zombies controlled by a dictator. And so you've completely ruined them.
She even interacts with the collective. She tells them to do something. They say, we will comply. She talks about personal experiences that she has. So I think it really does, destroy, but it hurts the collective quite a bit. And, they have some interesting thoughts. Also, another thing, which is just really sad, but also kind of telling about the Queen, because again, it's supposed to be about the collective, but Borg cubes now, because of Picard, one of the first races, I think it's season 1, that the Voyager encounters, it was like a party race or I don't know, some kind of race of happiness that have these teleporters that could teleport you.
Oh
like,
yeah, I just watched that one. I've been rewatching Voyager.
Yeah, and so the Queen in her chamber now has that because they actually have expanded to that far into the Delta Quadrant. Now has that technology, and it's in the Queen chamber in case there's an emergency or whatever, which means the Queen takes priority. It's not a collective. It's not all about just one. It's not all about the whole, because now she's so important that that they'll do whatever. They'll do anything to save her, you know? And that's just sad.
Right. Whereas, and yeah, the Borg should not be. Remember, the Borg were terrifying because they didn't care about whether or not you killed a drone. Because that drone, the collective, that drone, all the information in that drone was just a part of the collective consciousness. And in fact, the interesting thing is, once you were a part of the collective, you were then at that point immortal, because every single thought, every piece of memory that you ever had would forever be a part of the consciousness. And, you know, like forever, for the entire existence of the Borg collective, everything Picard ever knew, up to the point when he was removed from the collective, would be a part of the collective. And so Picard's entire personality and knowledge and everything is still a part of the collective. At least should be. But, you know, but then after they got when the Queen was added to the mix, and especially, like I said, in later episodes of Voyager, when the Queen actually gives orders to the collective and stuff, and they create this direct hierarchy, they're nothing more than zombies.
Someone in your chat actually brings up, what about those self-aware drones led by Lord? That is a perfect example of why the Queen doesn't work. And I know he asked you, but because in that specific episode, individuality was brought into the collective and they couldn't handle it. They talk about how some of them committed suicide, some of them just shut down.
Exactly.
They had no idea what to do with it. And so now you have someone who has always been there, who has shown individuality. It doesn't make any sense. Right.
But no, yeah, unfortunately the writers just with First Contact, they really dropped the ball, and in Voyager, they took that ball that was dropped and decided, you know what, let me just drop my pants here and squat over it, take a nice big dump on it. You know, that's...
By the way, Hauntus Farmer, being a member for 9 months, thank you so much. Maybe a Queen does something critical for the Hive. Well, two things. So if I was going to do it in Voyager, I don't know how you'd write it, but I've talked about this before. If I was going to write the Borg, and they were like, you have to use the Borg consistently, at least for a season in Voyager, I basically would probably be writing The Walking Dead in...
You there? Uh-oh. I hope I didn't just lose internet. Crap. What's going on?
My internet's working. I don't know about yours.
Well, there we go. I don't know what happened. I just lost you for a minute. Can you hear me?
Yeah, my internet's working.
Yeah, that's bizarre. Okay.
It was weird. Yeah, it cut out for just a second on mine too. But anyway, yeah, I'd just be doing The Walking Dead in space if I was going to do that.
Okay. I can see that.
Wouldn't that be the only way to write it? How would you write it?
Yeah, I mean, if you were saying, honestly, if they were saying, hey, we want to do a Borg season, I would do something like just do the Scorpion story, but stretch it out over an entire season.
Okay.
So I like the Scorpion concept, but if we stretch that out over an entire season, that could have been a lot more interesting.
Right.
And in fact, you make that like the 7 of 9 transition from her being just a drone
He who
to
controls the spice
someone
controls the
willing to
universe.
restore to her
Hope you're
humanity
doing well, gentlemen.
being a gradual change instead of in one episode she's a drone and then in the next episode she's a blonde bombshell. You know, how about we make that a truly gradual change over the course of a year?
Right.
You know, because and you make it so that like you begin to notice like 3 or 4 episodes in that she's starting to grow hair and that her body's starting to reject implants and she's trying to figure out why, and the doctor figures out that, well, it's because since the collective has you acting independently that your body's beginning to reject some of your implants, and she's becoming more and more of an individual, and she's beginning to be terrified by this idea of being an individual, and so Janeway's trying to help her with that, and that becomes a more interesting transition as opposed to, hey, at the end of the story, how about you join the crew? Okay.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And hey, Bill, thank you so much for the couple of bucks, and says, hope you're doing well, gentlemen. Hanging in there, and I know Laura's doing well because he's got a cat on his head.
It's true. Hunter says, like a queen bee does, she dies, they die. If I had to write the queen in there, I would say it would probably be a direct response to the Federation, just because they don't know how to defeat them, because the Federation uses the power of plot to keep everybody at bay. And so it would create a problem, but I'd write it as a problem if I had to have her in there. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly, I still am not completely sure how they were trying to justify her in the end. Right. Beyond just having a main antagonist that's basically over a hive, like you say, just like a hive mind now.
And very good catch, Mike. That is indeed punchy.
I just saw the new Matrix trailer. They changed the red pill to blue. I don't think they did that.
Well, there was a red pill and a blue pill.
Yeah, I think they were just playing off of that.
Yeah.
Maybe they sent a cube through time and tried to add that cube back into the collective in time period, messes up the collective as a whole. That's possible, for sure, I guess. I don't know. Again, like, even First Contact messes up the Borg. Beyond, like, even if we remove the Queen, the time travel stuff doesn't make any sense.
No. Because if the Borg have that time travel, okay, first of all, why bother just attack Sector 001 and then go back in time? Why not just go back in time?
Right. Why have it as like her last resort? I mean, you need to write in a line or something that explains why they did it there. Or maybe like there was a spatial anomaly that they saw that happened to the sun or something. I don't know. First Contact was a pretty good movie, but when you try to break down the logic of it, it falls right apart, unfortunately.
And if the Borg's plan, like, and in fact, you could easily argue that the Borg, like, if the Borg have this ability to go back in time to assimilate things in the past, then the Borg have just instantly, they win.
Right.
Because when could they ever lose? They could just go to any planet anywhere, go back in time and assimilate them at their most primitive state and win everywhere.
Right. Well, and I mean, why isn't the space-time police in the Federation doing something about that too?
Right.
Why aren't they countering it or whatever? In my conspiracy theory video, I theorized they did that to help out Starfleet, to help them beat species E04 It's the only way it makes any sense. That's just fact.
Now, the one thing I would do if you were trying to do something like if I were in charge of First Contact and the studio was saying you got to put in a Borg Queen or just some kind of a Borg main villain in order to make it more identifiable, then I would just do a character that would be a new version of Locutus.
Right.
I would just say, okay, so this would be a new Borg representative that's going to be in charge of assimilation this time around, because it doesn't make, basically it doesn't make sense to have the Borg collective suddenly be controlled by a singular being. But
Well, you had a good idea. Do you remember what your proposition for that was?
which one? I've had a couple ideas on it, but
For who the Borg should have been?
oh, as far as the brain parasites, you mean?
No. Who the Borg should have been in First Contact. I thought it was ingenious. So you would have you're the one that said it was Beverly. Should have been Beverly Crusher. The Queen should have been Beverly.
Oh, that she was assimilated.
Yeah, she was the new
Yes.
Locutus, and that she I think
Yes.
you actually would have killed her off too. That she was exactly like you see what the Queen is. Like her,
Right.
the only thing that exists anymore is her torso, and then she could have truly tormented Picard.
Right. Because that would have been something that just would have absolutely haunted him.
Right.
But no, they don't want to do that. They don't have balls.
Well, and I mean, they're not going to use her at any point. They never use her after that. Still haven't to this point used her. So I'm not sure. I don't even know if she's coming back.
Was it Beverly or was it someone else? I think it was.
No, it's Beverly. It was Beverly. I know for sure, and I'm 98% positive it was you that said it.
Well, no,
It's in one of your.
I remember
It's in one of your videos.
Yeah, I remember saying it was going to be somebody that was close to him, but I don't remember it being Beverly. But yeah, you have the Borg assimilate someone that matters to Picard. You can create that same level of tension, but the stupid thing is, the whole thing with Data was dumb. Having the Queen basically have sex with Data is dumb.
Yet again, sex not used well.
Yeah, just another example of Star Trek really, really doing a great job with adult content. It's just and the Borg Queen literally giving Data a blowjob, in just the worst possible way. Just all this horrible stuff that could have been avoided if you had just had the Queen or not the Queen, but if you had the Borg assimilate someone that was truly close to Picard.
Right.
And you make it so that now Picard has real motivation to go in there.
Right.
Go ahead. Well, so you take out the stupid Lily love interest thing, and you put the Beverly storyline in there. You replace Lily's stuff with Cisco. You remember that was the other thing I wanted to do, which makes that conflict a whole lot more dynamic. And you can split up some of the leadership stuff with Cisco and Picard, where Cisco takes on some of the combat stuff, so you don't have Rambo Picard, but Cisco is a little bit more the Rambo type leader, and you have Picard with the relationship stuff, and I think that would work.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think they could have done it. I think there are things they could have done better. Of course, then you have to do would have cost more too. By the way, someone said Gates McFadden wasn't interested. I actually looked it up because I remember this being talked about. It's not that she wasn't interested. So in the new chat with TrekMovies.com, Gates McFadden opened up on the lack of Dr. Crusher in Star Trek Picard. Speaking candidly about the situation, the actress reveals officially that she isn't a part of season 2. McFadden also says that she feels saddened over being left out. Yeah, I don't think they want Picard and Beverly to be together, and they've always been like that. So they've always had issues.
What about getting the Dominion involved? Are you talking about in Picard? I think that, I know people love the Dominion War, but the Dominion thing is over. I don't think bringing the Dominion back, bringing back a defeated enemy is honestly not that going to be great. Keep in mind, the Borg, the reason I think they keep wanting to bring back the Borg is the Borg have never been beaten. The Borg had setbacks.
And the finale, they got the living bit out of them.
Well, I was saying in the Voyager finale, I thought they were beaten, but apparently no. Apparently just that one hub was taken out.
Right.
But
yeah, they kind of left it a little bit open, but really not. seemed like some Borg were impacted and some weren't. But yeah, it really felt like they were pretty destroyed.
Right.
What do you think of a changeling Borg hybrid that both look? By the way, before that, Jim, I don't think they're really staying away from Deep Space Nine. They really don't seem to like it. So I don't think they bring anything.
And I think part of it is because most of the diehard Trekkies, if you really follow Trekkies out there, you have Kirk and Picard fans. That's 90% of your Trekkies.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying this to be a jerk, but there just aren't that many Cisco Janeway Archer fans.
Do you think Trek has trouble with sex due to not being on HBO and being limited by network standards or immaturity of writers?
A bit reversed, given how they're more appealing to non-legacy fans. I would probably say that you're. I don't know that it'd be 90%, but I'd probably say you're edging up on, especially like.
I'm saying legacy Trek fans.
Right, but what I'm saying is I don't think they're really worried about appealing to legacy Trek fans. I don't think that's what it is. They just seem to have a problem with Deep Space Nine.
And Alex, thank you, puts in $5. Says, do you think Trek has trouble with sex due to it not being on HBO and being limited by network standards?
True.
No, well, only in legacy Trek, not currently, because they can put whatever they want on Paramount Plus.
Need to have that HBO at night is when they need to have that.
If they want, they can put graphic sex on Paramount Plus if they want. Look, they had a freaking Mugatu jerking off in the last.
You ever watch HBO at night?
Not lately, but I know they can put whatever they want on there. But they can put whatever they want on any streaming service.
I wouldn't suggest watching HBO at night. What do you think of a changeling Borg hybrid? They both like the collective mentality. They would be extremely powerful, like a T-1000. I think the Borg is played out. I don't know a Borg changeling hybrid, because again, species 8472 should have the ability to change their form, which is a big thing. What if they assimilate species 8472 or assimilate a changeling? I don't know. It fundamentally changes what the Borg are, I think, because.
Yeah. The Borg aren't shapeshifters. The Borg come in and use brute force.
Right, and they don't need to use anything else because generally it works for them. We know that they've assimilated Romulans and Klingons, and they don't use Romulan or Klingon technology. So, or at least the cloaking technology, because they don't need to. They show up in a Borg cube and usually take what they want. If you can defeat them, then they're just going to send more than one Borg cube. And then they're just going to keep doing it until they overpower you. That's why they're described like a storm by Delta Quadrant species.
Yeah, I think that the problem that we have with the Borg, honestly, is the biggest problem we've had with Borg storylines is that we've never really seen the Borg go balls deep on the Federation. And it's kind of annoying because, we've heard stories when we've heard people describe, we heard it from Guinan, we've heard it from various species on Voyager, where they'd say that the Borg swarmed in. And like on Voyager, we had that one shot of, 13 Borg cubes.
The Dominion story can continue in Gamma Quadrant.
And when all the Borg cubes swarmed past Voyager. And Alex, I know that a lot of people want the Dominion story to play out, but the Dominion story is done. The Dominion signed a surrender to the Federation. The war is over. The Dominion got stomped. It's over. And so, but the Borg have never confronted the Federation with more than one cube.
That was supposed to be First Contact, though. Did you know that?
Yeah, they were supposed to send in a wave of cubes, but yeah, it never happened.
Well, not just cubes, but also like the different types of vessels.
And so, that's what I would have wanted to see. Is a Borg invasion. And so, unfortunately, we never got that.
Right. Well, maybe that's what this could be. I mean, they very says, well.
No way, balls. I said balls deep. I thought this was a Christian channel. It's an expression. I can be a Christian and still use an expression.
Have you read Song of Solomon?
Yeah, really, dude.
I mean, they do balls deep in that too. The what the hell was I about to say? Oh, the Picard season 2 really could be that. I mean, it could be like
That's what honestly, with the Queen and Q, I would love to see that, 'cause especially since Q did seem to have kind of a healthy respect for the Borg.
Right.
So I think that could be cool.
But Mugatu horn is bad, so they say the Mugatu horn is bad, but you can say balls deep. It's two people. It's two people, two consenting people. Well, the Federation may not be. I mean, ultimately they're consenting. Not at first though, but ultimately they're so two consenting adults. It's okay. It's Christian. It's the way it works.
It's like it says in the Bible, when marriage is between a man and a woman, as long as the man has the horn and the. Oh, wait, I think I might be paraphrasing there. Anyway, but something about a Mugatu horn, but I can't remember the exact phraseology. Anyway,
Jackson, you guys don't discuss our options. It's just your opinions over and over again. Try to see our side from time to time. I got no idea what you're on about, Jackson Kennedy. I mean, you can give me your option, and then I'll give you my opinion on my channel, I guess, unless...
What are we being jerks about something?
I don't know.
I'm fine. Look, first of all, I'll say absolutely I'm a jerk. I know Laura's a jerk. Okay, so look at him. I mean, look at him. He's a jerk. But, if you want to be a jerk online and talk about stuff, YouTube's free. Set up a channel, put your camera on, be a jerk.
I just don't understand. Try to see our side from time to time. Give a good argument, and I'll see your side. Right. I really just don't understand.
And yes, Kronos, you are absolutely a jerk. I know you are, but you are too.
Enterprise made the Borg scary again. Then Picard made them a joke again.
Enterprise did make the regeneration. Is what you're talking about. Enterprise did do, and notice, you know what they did in regeneration? They didn't show us a freaking Borg queen. Mm-hmm. Because again, what makes the Borg scary is when they're simply working in unison. When we have a Borg queen directing the action, they're not scary. In Picard season 2, we have a Borg queen again. So the only time, and this is the funny thing, the only time in the entire history of the Borg that the Borg queen was scary was for the 3.5 seconds that 7 of 9 was the Borg queen.
And he stepped back. He's like, "Are you going to assimilate me?"
Yeah, when 7 of 9's eyes turned black and she was taking over, I was like, "Holy crap, it's going dead!" And then they opened up the garage door and all the Borg were dead, which made no sense. And I was like, "Oh."
I wonder if that's going to be a part of it too. Maybe 7 is going to be offered to be the new Borg queen or something like that. I honestly, I could somewhat see that as a natural progression of the story, given all of her interactions in Voyager.
Right.
Because she ultimately is, given the choice to return back to what she generally had always known, Well,
I was just so angry because when she started to take over, I was like, "Oh, it's going down." But they opened the door and it killed everybody.
That never made sense either.
Yeah. I guess the Borg forgot that they could just not go flying out.
That they couldn't survive in space. Survive in space.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. What would you have wanted them to do, though?
Well, honestly, like when that Borg ship, and then somehow the Borg ship still had enough Borg to work anyway, because it went flying through the anomaly. And when it came out, I was like, okay, so at least we'll get to see the Borg ship fight the Romulans or the super space robots. But no, then it gets taken down by flowers. And then it crash lands, and it's like, where are all the Borg? I don't get it. So I don't know. I was just really, I don't know. What I would have loved to have seen is that Borg cube fight the entire armada of Romulan ships.
That could have been cool. I don't know that they, well, I don't know that they had the budget for it, but that could have been cool for sure.
Right.
Well,
you know what? It would have been better then. It would have been a whole lot better than Riker ordering his cabin in the woods to turn on cloaking sensors and raise shields.
I mean, by that time, it's possible that they might have technology like that. I think it would have been interesting maybe to have a 3-way or I'd honestly maybe have
Picard and Riker and Troy.
No, yeah, I like that with a Mugati in the back, just looking through
the horn out.
He's looking through the. The next morning, they're all sleeping together.
He's got a bunny corn in his hand.
Yeah, and the Mugato's right next to him. He's sleeping. No, like have the Federation, the Borg, the Romulans, and then the actual race of Datas or whatever. Even though that doesn't make the best of sense, and just have like a shootout with nobody on anybody's side, just trying to figure it out. That could have been interesting too, I think, depending on how they did it.
And Deej, you got to bring the bunny corns into it. They're just like mini Mugatus now.
What are the bunny corns?
You remember the bunny corns? That's what they put on pizza, apparently.
What are you talking about?
That's what Riker was putting on the pizza.
Oh, the thing. No, they don't eat meat though.
No, they did.
No, it's impossible. It was a vegan.
They killed a bunny corn and put it on their pizza.
It was vegan. They don't eat meat. Remember?
Well, only a bunny. Then bunny corns apparently are walking, hopping, vegetarian toppings.
That's what I'm saying. Obviously, because they don't eat meat. I just thought it was funny they had that, but they went out of their way to talk about how they don't eat meat.
Well, they apparently eat meat now.
Season 3 of Star Trek Picard, I want to see space Nazis. Well, you have space Nazis. They call it Star
Trek. When are we going to get through a show without you saying that word?
That's what they said. It was on mine. I didn't say it.
Oh, so that means you have to say it.
You know what? I should share my thumbnail that's coming up.
No,
just
yeah.
Put it straight on just put it straight on the
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, he's making a thumbnail for a future video that includes the symbol of the political party for the Germans in the 1940s. And you can share it on your
Utopia.
stream if you want.
It's the O for Utopia, because I'm going to be talking about the Starfleet Utopia. It's going to be what happened to breed? People still breed today. I'm assuming you mean Breen.
Yeah, what the Breen, they went back to the Star Wars universe, I think.
And nothing happened to them either.
So the Breen.
Yeah, nothing happened to them. They just went back and got to keep everything.
Right.
How uncomfortable would Elnor's sex life make you?
Elnor?
Elnor, yeah, the elf. Choose to live.
Who cares?
I don't know. I mean, I guess. Depends.
I mean, he can be snuggling with a Mugatu, I suppose.
You really are into that. That has impacted you.
I'll bet you he could cut off that Mugatu's horn in like half a second.
I mean, maybe. There was a few points in season 1 that felt like it would fall into later seasons. I hope this is the case and they were not just tossed on the cutting room floor. That's the problem with Disco Era writing in all iterations. Lower Decks can just get away with it because they're more just one-off episodes. They bring intriguing plot lines and interesting ideas. They either never follow through on them or they fix it within like 2 episodes.
Right. But yeah, they drop stuff like in Discovery, like season 3 of Discovery. They were like, what's her name? Dittmer. Oh man,
Detmer. Yeah.
Dittmer's acting strange. Hey everybody, Dittmer's acting really strange. Ever notice ever since we got here, Dittmer's acting really strange. And oh, hey, Dittmer's fine now.
Yeah, that was just PTSD.
And it's like, oh yeah, she's fine.
Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of good ideas, and they put all of them together instead of exploring them. Like, what if the Federation was fractured, and it was so fractured that it left Earth to protect Earth, and Earth became isolationist? Or what if the Federation removed itself from a certain area, and then pirates moved in? Or what if they couldn't use dilithium, They couldn't use dilithium reliably. Like, you have things that could be interesting ideas, but those need to be like season arcs or maybe half season arcs.
Right.
You know,
any one of those ideas could make a really compelling season-long arc.
Right.
But you throw all the things they throw in, and try to resolve it all with, by the way, the burn was a trans-dimensional temper tantrum.
Right. Like the Navarre Civil War thing could have been a couple of episodes. I think that would have been interesting, you know, where like Vulcan thinks they're responsible. They secede from the Federation. Romulans, the Romulans have joined or are already a part of it.
Right.
The Federation returns to Vulcan or Navarre to try to get them to come together or try to figure out what's going on, and then that causes a civil war. That's an easy 2
Honestly,
or 3.
I think reuniting Earth, Vulcan, and the core Federation worlds, that should have been the entirety of the season. Instead of, like literally having an episode of Scooby-Doo for the Earth episode. That was like, that made me just cringe. The Earth episode where you literally have what's her name? Oh gosh, now I'm forgetting her name. What's Michelle Yeoh's character's name again? Georgiou, yeah. Where Georgiou literally pulls the mask off and says, "Oh, look, it's Old Man Carruthers from the, and
verbatim. She said it was Old Man.
And it's like, oh, look, and I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for Michael Burnham and that stupid dog, And it's like, seriously, this just became a Scooby-Doo episode. What happened here?
Right.
Well, we wanted people to think that Mars was haunted, so we could have gotten all that red dust for ourselves. So, yeah, I hated that. And then, so they just wanted, everybody's a dick. That was the storyline of season 4. Everybody on Earth was a dick. Everybody at Vulcan or Navarre or whatever was a dick. Everybody on Trill was a dick. How, instead of exploring these ideas, finding out why the people on Earth were isolationists, digging into why the people on Navarre were worried about the people on Earth and the people, getting into it, going back and forth between them, working out the cultural differences, and spending the season unpacking this and getting them together, and then at the end of the season, signing a new Federation charter.
Right. Yeah, as I said, it would have been interesting to go with things like that.
Right. Then you work on, in the next season, okay, hey, and I'll even be cool with make Burnham the captain if that's what you really want to do. And then in the next seasons, try to figure out what's up with the lithium.
Right. Well, I think it would have been interesting to, what I probably would have done, or what I think would have been interesting is to have Starfleet and the Federation, and you still have the Emerald Chain, and basically both of them are trying to sway the 4 core worlds. Then you have your villain there,
right?
Where they and you that way you make it political. You could almost have like a Dominion War-esque, but not as large scale or whatever, where they're just trying to convince both sides. Yeah, again, they come up with a lot of possibly interesting concepts, and then fix them in 2 days.
Right. Yeah, I think that would have been a much more interesting season.
Right.
But Bird of Prey 5 is Chang. Well, that is true, but we know that. All right, so yeah, that was a mess.
What's the next one about before we get off? The next, let's see, let's do this. Next Lower Decks episode.
I have no idea. What is the next Lower Decks going to be?
That's what I'm taking a look at. See if we got any kind of interesting information. What episode would that be? Episode 6?
Episode 5, I think.
That's season 2?
Yes.
Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. Let's not gonna play it because I know that we don't want that. And apparently,
Well, you can play it. I can't.
I'll get taken down just like you, buddy.
Well, that's fine if you get taken down.
Well, sorry. You want me to
You
start
seem
talking
okay.
about?
You seem okay with putting 1940s German stuff on your channel.
So this I'm glad you brought that up. So this is really a good. So to that point, you guys might start seeing a lot more pro 1940s Germany stuff, as well as Soviet Union. I've decided to rejoin the fandom menace. So I'm just really excited about that. So
well, now are you going to become a Californian?
no, I mean even Phantom Menace isn't that bad.
I'm
God
pretty sure
bless
there
him.
are California members of the Phantom Menace.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it's kind of like not all. I mean, not all. I don't know. Not all Trekkers are 1940s Germany lovers, but all 1940s Germany lovers are Phantom Menace. That's
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
This is the one. Okay,
Wow.
so this is the lower decks where they're in the four-wheelers.
So they're gonna we're gonna get the Picard ripoff there.
Yeah. Well, is that a Picard? Well, they're in a shopping mall, so it's not as straight.
Well, no, but remember the Picard wanted the stupid dune buggy for making Nemesis. Remember?
Okay. Yeah. That's where they got
Patrick
it from.
Stewart wanted it.
Right. You will talk well of my mother country because we have ways of making you talk. Now everybody's
Well, it's okay, so just so you guys will know, and that if you want your communist or fascist content, Lore Reloaded is the place to go.
I mean, I can't compete with the larger channels, but I'm going to do my best to help out.
Are you gonna like get a Lore Reloaded communist theme song going or something?
All red, yeah.
Don't
do it to the Soviet march.
You should do that. You should really do that.
And this is going to get ripped, and we'll have to deal with stupid people not understanding joking.
No, you should.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Trekker. I appreciate it. It really is. It's going to show up. People are going to get pissed off about it. I'm going to get canceled again. Thank you.
You're the one that started this.
So I'm still going to blame it on you because that's what we do. Mirror Lore is probably a nice person. If I had to guess.
Mirror Lore?
Yeah, they're saying Mirror Lore without a goatee.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure Mirror Lore Reloaded is a nice guy. I was thinking about doing a video just theorizing that, the Mirror Vulcans are the true heroes.
That's right. Steve Shives is the real best source of communist Trek content.
Mirror Steve Shives is an absolute hero.
No, not Mirror Steve. They were saying Steve Shives is where you go for your Trek communist content.
Well, so you should team up with Steve Shives then.
I could see that happening. That seems legitimate.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to go straight up Soviet level communist,
you still have him as a Facebook friend?
Steve?
Yeah.
No, I haven't talked to him for a little while.
But you could still have him as a Facebook friend. I still have him as a Facebook friend.
I don't, not since, well, he might still be Facebook friends with me, but I unsubbed from him on YouTube when he told me to.
Yeah, I did as well.
When he said if you're a conservative of any kind that you should unsub from me because I hate you, basically.
Well, that was worse than that. It wasn't just saying conservative. If you disagree with him for any reason.
And so I was like, okay, fine. You really going to be that much, fine, dude. Yeah. And that's the problem. Like, I don't mind. Look, I get, I've said I'm not an ideologist. So while I'm liberal on some issues, I'm conservative on some issues. I like to argue, but, I don't mind if you're liberal or conservative, as long as you're willing to come and bring a fight on it. Let's fight. But my problem is if you're seriously going to say you can't be my friend if you disagree with me on a political issue, you got massive problems.
Right.
Because just on the ideology, because if I'm going to sit there and say I'm a Republican let's say with the recent elections, I'm a Trump supporter. If you're a Biden supporter, you can't be my friend. That's dangerous. you know, or the opposite. I'm a Biden supporter and you're a Trump supporter, so you can't be my friend. No, I'm not. I'm not playing that. That's stupid. Because I see, you know, to me, you're a person. And then, you know, if we want to fight about politics, that's fine. We can fight about politics but to me, fighting about politics is no more important than fighting about, you know, what's the best flavor of ice cream.
Yeah, I mean, I have my opinions, and I am obviously just exaggerating when I say stuff like that about the fandom. It doesn't necessarily matter to me whether you're fandom menace or not. I really more talk about the ideas, because there's a lot of people in my chat, and I know in yours, that enjoy fandom menace. So it's not really a huge deal, as long as you can take the jokes when I talk about it. But yeah,
that's the problem. So many people take a lot of this stuff very seriously, and I know I've had to say it a lot of times. It's you know, hey, if we disagree, that's totally cool. We can disagree about the ideas, but you know, there's a big difference between disagreeing with, you know, like where I draw the line with people and I get mad at people is if you start saying that they're a bad person because we disagree. Like I don't like it where I get mad at people, especially the Phantom Menace people. When I get mad at the Phantom Menace people is when they start insulting the person as opposed to the concept. You know, like if they say that, you know, J.J. Abrams is a bad person because he made a bad movie. And it's like, no, you can talk about how much you think that this movie sucked. You can, I mean, I will go off on Last Jedi with the best of them, you know. But I'm not going to say Rian Johnson was a bad person just because he made a movie that I thought was one of the worst movies ever made. You know, because I hate The Last Jedi with a passion, but Rian Johnson, never met the guy.
Right.
You know? I'm sure he's a perfectly nice guy. Or maybe he's a complete douchebag. For all I know, he could be almost as bad as you. But I don't know. And unless unless Rian Johnson comes onto my channel and talks to me, I have no idea if he's a nice guy or a complete douchebag. So I'm not going to sit there and insult him. I'm just going to say, you know what? I think it was really stupid that Princess Leia pulled the Superman move and that they made Luke Skywalker into a deadbeat and that he was drinking blue milk, right, or green milk off the teat. You know, I'll talk about how stupid that stuff was, but I'm certainly not going to insult Rian Johnson. I'm just going to say this movie sucked.
Right.
But,
well, I mean, he
and of course I'm ripping on Lore because I know Lore's a jerk.
He's not from California, so he can't be that bad.
I don't know if he's from, I don't know where he's from, but he works in California. Okay.
So, you know, he's not that bad. But we're going to end it on that.
There we go. Yeah. So what can you really take away from tonight? Well, Lore Reloaded is really, really one of the worst people ever.
I'm going to share my thumbnail real quick. I want people to see how cool this thing is before we get off. So that I'll get demonetized. You'll get a strike.
Yeah, see, that's exactly what would happen too. You'd get a little warning from YouTube saying, you shouldn't do that, Lore, and then my channel's just gone. You know, they just say, oh, nope, you're dead. We're done with you.
You can't live stream for 3 weeks or something.
All right, guys, take care, live long and prosper, all that crap. And yeah, YouTube hates me, but that's okay. I hate Lore even more. Or something. That's a great sign off, don't you think?
Yeah, it was a good one.